We are back.
Boo!
That's right. Boo. Gunner is still on the show. Apparently Omega forgot Gunner's balls in his purse. Left his purse by the toilet. Gunner's balls are in there. We'll go get those later. But for now, it is time for the kayfabe issues. Ladies and gentlemen, Gunner, hit my music.
Oh, you were not aware of this? Your posterior better contact someone at once!
That's right, crickets, ladies and gentlemen, which is probably what we're getting because we are a day late and tree fitty short for the show. But that's okay because all 47 of you that actually listen to this podcast regularly are pretty awesome, and you will probably catch it anyways. But tonight, we're going to play a game called The Odds Maker. Here's how it works for the possible new person that likely does not exist listening to this podcast. I will list a topic, and we'll predict the likelihood of this shit happening. So let's go straight to Omega BR. What are the odds that the IWC will rage at the results of Night of Champions?
I'd say 1-1. Something's going to happen that will be upsetting. Or 100%, if you prefer percentages.
Okay. Gunner?
100%. The IWC rages at everything. Literally everything. And I've seen hate for One Night Stand. I've seen hate for, Kobashi matches. I've seen hate for pretty much anything and everything that's ever happened in professional wrestling. So
if we're saying, if we're saying every single member included, then surely someone will. But if we're saying in general,
I think they'll have the exact same reaction you're having right now, Omega. I don't care. And that's going to be the worst part about it, because people aren't going to care.
We never do. Omega BR. What are the odds that anyone actually believed that Cody Rhodes isn't too busy bumping uglies with the new wifey, that he was actually going to come back to the WWE?
Wait, what?
Did anybody think that Dustin Rhodes was actually going to win his match against Orton?
No.
And Cody was going to come back? No.
Well, I'll say 5%, because, that would be kind of a thing to have Goldust get the sneak win somehow, and then, as an excuse, because they are going to bring it back, so they have to have an excuse at some point, so, Goldust actually did pretty well in that match,
But apparently the reports are that that match received standing ovation from the boys in the back, from pretty much everyone. So that's pretty cool.
I always liked Goldust. I always liked the gimmick. I always liked the pageantry, and I didn't think he was the greatest wrestler in the world, but he was no slouch.
Certainly one of my favorites as well. Gunner, what are the odds?
Oh God. I would say about 10%. Because people still believe in kayfabe. I think that's about the percentage that actually. Yeah, I think that's about the percentage where you could sit there and say that's it. That's the amount of people that would say it's still real. Damn it!
I don't know why you don't have that in the soundboard. negative 5 million points to you.
Because it's derogatory, and I don't want to be that way to that guy. He's actually a really nice guy. Apparently, he just sells propane or something.
Propane.
And I'm not saying that as like a Hank Hill, haha, funny. I'm saying that as a legit, like, I think he's got a real job.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong
Stupid
with
shit.
that. God, you got all serious? Why you gotta ruin my segment, dick? Let's just move on. Omega BR, the odds that the rumored new Heyman guy will debut at Night of Champions.
15%. Because I don't really know who they could get to be another Heyman guy, and I think it's more likely they could debut a Heyman girl before another guy.
But who's the Heyman girl gonna have a match with?
I don't know.
That would be the whole point. A person to replace Axel.
I don't know. What is it with this?
You can't use Brock Lesnar, because if you use Brock Lesnar, then you only have one more date with him. You realize that, right? He only has one more date on his contract till WrestleMania.
Yeah, they're not going to waste that. So Gunnar,
Well,
what are the odds?
either 100% or 0%, and I can't pick which, because it's like I could see them debuting someone new, but really, who are you going to bring in? There isn't anybody currently on the roster that is a Heyman guy. I mean, beyond Rob Van Dam, which isn't, which is completely and totally, perfect in this instance. It works for me. Alright, here, I'll say this. If Rob Van Dam loses his match, and they're going to debut a Heyman guy, Rob Van Dam will be the Heyman guy. Because it makes sense. He has been a Heyman guy, he's been a Heyman guy basically forever. And, I had a point, but I lost it.
I'd be okay with that. I figured it'd probably just be some jobber from NXT.
Oh God, I hope not, because Axel had the same problem, because he is a jobber from NXT. No offense to Mr. Perfect over there, but come on, man.
Alright, Omega BR, we talked about this a little bit earlier. What are the odds that Shaw Guerrero is going to make a full return to the WWE and get a debut as in on Raw or SmackDown in the near future? That seems vague. Let's say 6 months.
20%. I think she would be an interesting character to add to Total Divas, because that's how we're booking the division now, around Total Divas. 6 months might be a little too soon, but then again, JoJo and Eva Marie were in the company for 2 days before they started getting filmed by e-cameras, so,
I think it'd add an interesting dynamic, because the only other diva with as much pedigree as Shaw Guerrero is Natalya, and you could easily make an argument that Shaw Guerrero's pedigree is just a smidge bit better. Gunnar, what are the odds?
The odds are high for Shaw Guerrero being on season 2 of WWE Divas Total Divas, and that's when she will debut. I'm calling it right now. So 100%.
Okay. I'll buy that. I haven't read anything about whether or not he is back full time or not. So this one is assuming that he is. Omega BR, give us the odds that everyone will hate Santino again in no time flat.
Oh, I'm sure it'll happen. I'm gonna say 98%. I'm sure it'll happen if they keep having Santino do matches like that with people like some of the kind of upper mid card guys. Yeah, it'll happen in no time.
And Gunner.
Oh, time that'll take 3 months, maybe. His Battle Arts gym though is fucking badass.
That's pretty cool. So that
they have a gimmick where they have this 100 kilo hammer, or it's not 100 kilo, like a 25 kilo hammer, right? And that's like 100 pounds. And you can get free membership and free one-on-one training with Battle Arts if you could take the hammer, raise it to a 90-degree angle with the ground, and then proceed to tilt the hammer to your face, kiss the head of the hammer, and then bring it back to the 90-degree, vertical axis, just with your wrist strength.
And that's what they'll train you for free.
They will train you for free and throw in one-on-one training.
Wow,
for life.
That's pretty cool.
It seems like there would be a lot of guys who could do that, Like, maybe not us, but you know what I mean?
If it's just by wrist strength, though, holy shit! I don't know that a lot of guys could do that. And I'm sure they watch pretty closely. The same way, like if you go to one of those restaurants and they're like, "Oh, eat all this food and it's free," and they've got some guy, security guard or something, standing over you, making sure you don't drop any of it on the floor or stick it in your pocket or something.
Should we? Hey, I'm getting hungry. Are you guys hungry?
You know what? I want a Blizzard.
I legit had Dairy Queen the other night, and I was like, I gotta go through the drive-thru. So I went through the drive-thru, and I started getting the rating.
Let's go through the drive-thru.
Alright, time for the Dairy Queen drive-thru. Where the fuck are you?
Dairy Queen drive-thru.
Drive-thru, and with the ratings, we're going to have a Yankum read them.
Alrighty, let's see. Impact ratings for Thursday, September 5th, 2013. It scored a .98 according to PW Torch. That's down from last week's episode where it scored a .99. With this week averaging 1.31 million viewers. The viewership is up 5% from 1.246 million viewers last week. For SmackDown, it drew a 1.88 cable rating with 2.47 million viewers. This is down from last week's show that drew a 1.93 rating with 2.79 million viewers. Despite the drop, the show won the night in the 1849 demographic, drawing a .7. For Raw, the ratings are a little weird this week. The first hour drew a 3.801. Let's see, the second hour, a 3.903. And the third hour, a 3.953, with an average of a 3.88.
Realize it's the highest ratings of the year if that's a 3.88, right?
Unless it's the 1.3, 1.4, and then
it's actually the millions. It's millions of viewers, bro. That's millions of viewers. They did under 4 million viewers, so that's a rating of about 2.89, somewhere in there.
That's good.
For Raw, that is. So speaking of subpar and ending this subpar segment, we're going to do the birthdays, and I'm going to take care of this. Remember, if I say somebody dead, please tweet us that I said somebody dead. Happy birthday to Sojourner Bolt, Hollow Wicked, and Paul Heyman on the 11th. On the 12th, Saul Renaro, Road Warrior Animal, and Shocker. On the 13th, Shane Hagedorn and Angelina Love. On the 14th, Gino Hernandez, Satoshi Kojima, and Yuri Nader. On the 15th, Adrian Adonis, Genki Horiguchi, and Teddy Long, and Red Titus. And on the 16th, there's Lancelot Bravado and Cloudy. On the 17th, Masahiro Chono and Jim Cornette. And that was the birthdays. And now it is time for This Week in Wrestling.
Hold on. Omega BR.
Omega BR. Why would you interrupt me?
Because Omega poked me while you were reading with the message urinator. And I don't know why it struck me as so funny, but Jesus Christ.
I get it.
Is that an actual name, Omega BR? I know you did the birthdays. Did you just throw that in there?
And who says I'm a straight man? Yes, it's time for This Weekend Wrestling History.
I think Omega just burned you, Gunner.
1976, where Wahoo McDaniel defeated Ric Flair in Greenville, North Carolina to win the NWA Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight title, ending Flair's second reign with the belt and starting Wahoo's third run. Jump to 1977, where Peter Maivia, the grandfather of The Rock, defeats WWF World Champion Superstar Billy Graham via pinfall in a 9-title match in Portland, Maine. The two would feud for several months, trading wins via countout, before Graham would pin Maivia in a title match in December in Bangor, Maine. And in 2003, during an edition of Raw in Huntsville, Alabama, Kane defeats Rob Van Dam in a steel cage match. At the start of the match, Kane repeatedly threw Van Dam into the cage to the point where it broke and swung open, causing Van Dam to fall to the floor. He was declared the winner, but Raw General Manager Eric Bischoff orders that the match continue, since the rules stated that you had to win by pinfall, escaping the cage through the door, or by going over the top, not through the actual cage.
Which is a very clear, clarification of rules, which is completely accurate. And what a dick, Eric Bischoff. Rob Van Dam should have won. God damn it.
Kane would go on to win with a top rope choke slam. And that was This Week in Wrestling History.
Time for some happy trails. Happy trails to any semblance of dignity Tammy Sunny Stitch has left, because she actually did what she had been planning to do and had a photo ops with Finn in bed. No word yet on how many of those fans have the combinations of public lice and hepatitis C. Did I really just read that? Happy trails to Christian, who is currently out of action due to suffering a concussion. That is the reason they never showed the attack from the Shield, and simply dragged him out on the stage after they had already taken him out. He will not be taken back to the ring until cleared by WWE medical team. We're told he passed his impact test, but hasn't passed WWE's secondary testing yet. He's also complaining of headaches and dizziness. Well, it's not terribly surprising considering his career. I mean, Jesus Christ. Alright, so what should we watch this week in wrestling? Omega BR.
I don't know. I'm tempted to say Steve Austin versus The Rock from WrestleMania 19, just because Jim Ross was very, very emotional during that. Of course, that was Austin's quote-unquote retirement match, and Ross was very, very emotional during it. and really on his game as per usual. So,
Yankum, what should we watch this week in wrestling?
I'm going to steal a page from Omega BR and say Undertaker versus Mankind Hell in a Cell match because of the amazing commentary. Besides the amazing match, the amazing commentary by JR during that match is what it just that match was already going to the moon, and JR's commentary put it over it. What do you think we should watch, Gunner?
Let's see here.
It doesn't matter what you think.
No, if it wasn't for the fact that you were completely terrible at reading that line, I may or may not have reacted to it.
Oh, okay.
However, let's see here. What should we watch this week? What should we watch this week?
Just get it over with.
Ron Simmons versus Big Van Vader from 1992, when Ron Simmons won the WCW World Heavyweight title, and guess who was on the call for that one?
Bobby Heenan?
Jim Ross, motherfucker. Alright, so that's it for Woogid Studios number 89. 11 more episodes, and we're at 100. Woohoo! Alright, so thank you everybody for listening. Make sure you check out smartsnark.com. That goes directly to our Spreaker page. Our Spreaker, you can check out all of our podcasts out on the YouTube, youtube.com/smartsnark. We have a few other things potentially planned for you coming up in the near future. What we should also tell you is that you can email us at smartsnark@gmail.com, and if you want to yell at us or have some sort of hate mail type thing, you can do that there. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/smartsnark. Twitter.com/smartsnark is our Twitter handle. If you could go follow us, and that'd be awesome. And you can listen to our podcast, and tweet along with us on Monday nights. So I'd like to say thank you all for listening, and we still need a good entrance. We still need a good exit fucking thing.
I don't know, did Ross ever say anything kind of token at the end of Raw or anything?
As God is my witness, this show has been broken in half.
I like it.
Yeah, and I know there was a lot of vile anger during the show. But Ross, if it wasn't clear, Ross really is one of the greatest commentator of our time, if not all time. Although I know he would say it was Sully, but just wanted to get that.
Sully was kind of better.
Ruined my moment of personability.
Well, I've been watching World Wrestling, and people probably who don't have no idea who the fuck Gordon Soley is. So, and if you don't, you're a fucking asshole.
Well, even so. All right. So, if we think JR is the best, he thinks Sully's the best. So, by the transitive property. But we respect Ross's opinion just that much. So,
yes.
Good night, Norman, Oklahoma.